Yeah, it's really fucking late. But you ready? It's been a long time coming, but we finally came. You're welcome. I'm Raziel Liz, and you're tuned into We Alive and Living. Let me start off by saying thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you for making time. I also want to say thank you to everybody that listened to the intro and to the first episode. That meant a lot to me. A lot of good feedback, a lot of good insight from people telling me how they felt about the story, telling me I was brave for sharing the story. Even people that knew me personally came to me with water and, teary eyes, water in their eyes, telling me like, man, I can't believe you went through those things. I'm sorry. And please don't apologize about it. First of all, you didn't do nothing. But also, don't feel sorry for me. This is not about feeling sorry. This is not about being sad. This is about showing that even through the worst situations, we can make it to the other side. But again, I do appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the love, and I appreciate people tuning in and taking time out of the day to listen to me or listen to these stories because, true stories. But last story we had was about Mike. Rest in peace, Mike the Master, my brother. And this story we're going to talk about Antonio. A very complicated man. Rest in peace. It's my dad, my father. Let's jump straight to the shits with it. Again, it's 1:27 in the morning. I apologize. It's 1:27 a.m. Came from a photo shoot that took longer than it should have taken. So if I sound a little groggy, a little tired, I apologize. But no matter what time it is, I'm still having my little drink. So let's jump into it. So I'll be lying to you if I remember exactly how old I was. But let's start off with saying that, let's kind of take place saying I was like 26. I could have been like 25, 26. But let's go with 26. I can't really remember too well as far as how old I was. A lot of my past it's a blur, it's crazy. But I was about 26, and I was living in Georgia, in Augusta to be exact. And, my relationship with my dad, I'm not going to get too in-depth with that, because that's for another episode. You don't understand, these stories have layers. My relationship with my dad ricochets into how my dad got along with my brother, how my dad, had domestic violence in the house. He's tried to fight my brother. He's, with me, hit me and stuff. And he didn't really do too much to my sister. He kind of left her alone. But he was very violent to my mom. Very violent to my mom. He stabbed my mom, hit her with a gun before. He picked her up and slammed her through a glass table one time. Again, these are all stories that I'm going to get into later on. But this particular story I want to share with you guys, this particular situation, is his passing. Make a long story short, because the story's not that long. It's a little extensive, but not that long. But I'll shorten it as much as I can. I remember I was living in Augusta, Georgia. And I'm at work. I get a phone call from my mom. My mom's like, listen, what you doing? And I'm like, I'm at work. What's going on? She said, I need to talk to you about something that I really don't know how you're going to take. I don't know if you're going to feel sad. I don't know if you're going to cry. I don't know if you're not going to give a fuck. You're going to probably be like, why the fuck you coming with this bullshit? But I was like, what's up? Just spit it out. Give it to me straight. Me and my mom had a very straightforward relationship. Great relationship. Straightforward, and it made me the man who I am today. So I appreciate my mom more than I ever could have expressed to her. But, so she jumped straight to the shit. And she's like, well, your dad, he died. Or he was killed. And I was like, And I remember pausing and looking up in the distance, 'cause I was at work. I remember looking up into the distance and people looking at me, and I'm a very jokative person, so people had like jokes and they were bugging out and people trying to talk to me, and I'm looking in the crowd and everything just paused for a second. And I wasn't sad, because again, my dad distanced himself from a lot of people, including his kids. Kind of just, whatever his reasons was, his mission, his goals in life, he kind of just went a direction and nobody could reach him. Nobody even knew where the fuck he was at. So, she told me that your dad passed, and I'm like, if anything, I wasn't sad that my dad passed. And it's not that I didn't care that he passed. It wasn't that. It was like I said earlier, because he created so much distance that it was like hearing somebody, like you haven't spoken in a long time past. And yeah, it's my dad, but if the feelings aren't there, the feelings aren't fucking there, right? So I'm like, wow, how'd you know? Like, oh, what happened? And she's like, well, I got a phone call from a friend of a friend, whatever, and told me that he passed. And I was like, where was he at? She's like, he was living in Ohio. And I'm like, the fuck? The fuck was this man doing in Ohio? But my dad was ruthless. You know what I mean? He used to sell our toys for cocaine. He was a character, man. He did a lot of things that there's no explanation for, aside from, he was suffering some mental issues. Going through a lot, as a man, sometimes we don't, men don't get enough credit. I mean, and again, everybody deserves the credit, from women to men to whoever, kids, everybody. But we're talking about a particular person in right now. So I'm talking about a man, my dad. Sometimes men, they suffer. Who knows from what? If it's not getting enough credit, enough respect, or you just suffer from like wanting to be something and you're not, and it eats you alive or whatever. You want to, some people just suffer from ego. They want to be something big. They want to be that dude, that motherfucker, and they're not. So they express it violently and differently. And then you have occasional, there's just really no helping that person. That there's no helping. It's just something's wrong with this person and he do need help. Not that there's no helping, but they're not allowing themselves to be helped. And that was my dad. My dad was not allowing any motherfucker to help him. You can go as far as saying he was a piece of shit, which I wouldn't be mad at you if you did. I mean, any man that stabs his wife, hits his wife with a gun, slams her through a glass table in front of her kids, yeah, that's a piece of shit. But I remember me and a friend of mine recently, Rico, we was talking, and in the Bible it says, don't judge people, right? And it's crazy because that's a conversation again for another podcast, but you never know what people are going to end up tomorrow. You never know where they're going to be at. So I could sit here and be like, he was a piece of shit, he was a piece of shit. Then when he died, I was like, damn, man, I wish I helped him. You ever caught people saying shit like that? So anyway, I'm like, what happened to him? And she's like, he was according to my mom's, the story she received, who know how true or false this story is or how much detail is missing from the story. But she was like, we got a phone call. He was murdered. That he was at a gas station and he had like a whole new family out there and all this crazy shit. And he was at a gas station and he was, buying whatever or getting gas. And he played the scratch off. Come to find out, on the scratch off, he wins like, if I'm not mistaken, it was either 50,000 or 500,000. But let's go with 50, because whatever. Because I really don't know the exact number. But let's say it was 50,000. Could have been 5, but let's say 50. So he wins. He does the scratch off, and he wins this $50,000. Human reaction. Oh shit. Fucking won, coño, mira esto, gané, a mí no me tocan, yo soy el león, el matatán. He's a fucking man and shit. He think he's gonna kill it. Killed it. He achieved a new level in his life. He's just excited. And that's difficult for a person going through a lot to contain that excitement. And unfortunately for him, when he was expressing his excitement in this gas station, people was there. There was a gas station that had customers. And there was two shady characters there that overheard him, and they heard him yelling for joy and everything, and how he wanted to scratch off and whatever. In his eyes, he's like, "Soy millonario, I'm rich, bitch. Soy rico, I'm rich." So he walks off, he pays for his shit, leaves the gas station. He's walking home, happy as hell. Always wondered. Now I'm thinking about it for the first time. Always wondered, why was he in a gas station if he wasn't driving? Because they always told me he walked home. So it's like, why was he in the gas station? He could have been coming from somewhere and the gas station was on his way. Who knows? So as he's walking home, these two shady characters, they follow him. And they follow him all the way to his house. And when he got to his doorstep, they stopped him, robbed him, stabbed him up, took the ticket and left. And left him there to die. The sad part about that story is the fact that my dad was a person that all he wanted to do was be successful without putting in the work, right? And what I mean by that is He always wanted the easy way out, selling drugs or robbing, stealing something, flipping something. He always wanted a quick way to the top. And there's nothing wrong with getting to the top quick if your plan is efficient, legal, let's say, liable, you got it under control, whatever. There's nothing wrong with getting to the top quick or trying to get some rich, quick schemes. That's cool. But my dad always went the wrong routes, man. Like drugs, violence, stealing. It's just a very dark fucking path. And then it's crazy to get to the top instantly, $50,000 is not the highest level in the world, but for a person that is struggling their whole life and you get a break like $50,000, $50,000 looks real pretty. So he gets this money. I mean, he didn't get the money, but he got this ticket and he gets killed. So that's the sad part for it, the fact of he finally made it just to not even be able to enjoy it. All because he showed too much excitement about it. So anyway, we get the phone call that he passed, whatever. And this is the best part. You're thinking like him dying because of what I'm saying or being killed is like the craziest part, right? And the way we get the phone call and he wanted the money after he was struggling so much, that's not even the worst part or the best part of the story, so to say. The crazy part is nobody wanted to go identify him. Where was his family that he was living with? Some Mexican lady, I think they told me, and she had kids, but he was violent to her too. So she took whatever money he had left and disappeared with her kids. Last message somebody received from her was, fuck him because he was violent to me, he beat me and all this stuff. So she didn't give a fuck. So she was just like, I'm gone. Oh, he dead, that's his problem. Or whoever gives a fuck problem. So they left it up to his family, his immediate family, that they could get in contact with to go to Ohio to identify him. And guess who that awesome, spectacular task landed on? It landed on yours truly. And it landed on somebody else that came with me that I won't speak about because, again, I didn't touch base with them about this story, so they don't care about me telling the story, but I don't know if they want the name in the story, due to the fact that they probably don't really want to. This particular person's not really into media and being on Instagram and all that crazy stuff. So out of respect for that person, I ain't going to mention them. But I'll say this much, they're related to me, whatever. So we take a plane to Ohio just to get there. I identify the body like, that's that motherfucker. And then I'm like, okay, and they put him in a hearse. And they're like, you got to drive him back to the States, drive him back to New York. So mind you, 26 years old, lost my brother early age, and this is the second blow. And we're driving from Ohio to New York on my dad's corpse and back. It's a long-ass ride. It was a quiet ride. Confusing ride because it was like, do we feel sad? Should we cry? And the person that was next to me, knew him pretty decent. Excuse me, I'm being rude. I'm here chewing ice. Knew him pretty decent. And I remember this person turning to me and going, you okay? And I was like, I don't know. I think I am. But it's like, am I forcing myself to feel pain? Am I convincing myself that I should be sad? Or am I really sad? Whatever. After the long drive after a while, believe it or not, after we was driving, like after the 6th, 7th hour, I forgot that he was back there. I forgot that his body was in the trunk, so to say, and in the back of the hearse. So we get to this stage, we drop him over the morgue. Again, I forget the name of the morgue. I think it was like Rodriguez Mortuary, some shit like that. Crazy part about this is, when my brother passed, we took him there. We saw his body at this morgue, at this place, the funeral home. I don't know if it's the morgue, not the morgue, right? Is the morgue the funeral home? If I'm mistaken or messing up definitions, I'm sorry. But the funeral home, Rodriguez Funeral Home, we took him there. It's the same exact place that we saw my brother at. This is also the same exact place we took my dad to. And then, even though it's for another podcast, it's the same place that we took my mother to and took my grandmother to. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, damn, these motherfuckers are getting rich off of, shit. Who next? Sucks. I'm trying to make light of the situation, but it sucks. But we take them there. Time goes by, I see my mom, we talk. Family is mourning, people flying in from different places. Not too many people was there. Nice amount of people was there, but not like a lot. And it was crazy because when we get to the funeral, everybody's there, everybody's talking. I see a lot of people that I've never seen before. I guess one good thing came out of it. I met a lot of cousins that I'm cool with now, that I helped them change a lot of things in their life, and I helped them get new levels, so I'm happy about that. So I guess his death brought a lot of people together. And it's unfortunate because why he couldn't do that when he was alive, He had good energy, he was fun, he was an exciting person, but he had his dark side, was bigger than his light side, so to say. His bad was outweigh the good. So I remember being at the funeral and giving a speech and I cried a lot during the speech, and it wasn't because I was sad that he died. I was sad at the relationship we could have had if he would have just reached out. I was sad the fact that he didn't try at all to be a good dad. He could have been a fantastic dad if he tried. And having kids like me and the ones he had, again, I won't say no names, but kids like me and the ones he had, you could have been, it was easy. We was giving you the privilege to be a dad. We was giving you the pamphlet, the layout, the blueprint for free. But he just never kind of bit. He never took it. So when I was giving my speech about that, I was crying due to that, at the fact that it wasn't that I was sad that he was gone. I was sad that he didn't try, and what he could have done, and what he could have achieved, and what he would have been now. Could have still been here with us, So, the speech is over. People are hugging, talking, exchanging numbers. Then I felt bad. Another reason I felt bad for him, when we take him to the gravesite where we was burying him. Excuse me. We take him to the gravesite where we was burying him and put him in the ground. I felt bad the fact that I was wondering to myself, like, why he's not next to my mom. Like, not that my mom, she probably like, don't put that motherfucker over here. Wait, I'm tripping. I'm sorry, not next to my mom. My mom died afterward. God, I'm mixing up stories. Next to my brother. Sorry, next to my brother. I was wondering, like, why we didn't put him next to my brother. My brother probably was like, don't put that motherfucker over here. But, as I got older, I realized, like, why we didn't do that. It probably wouldn't felt right with my mom because my brother and my dad didn't get along. So to put his body next to my brother's body wasn't a good look. But I felt bad the fact that, like, your dad. It shows you the disconnection between people. Like, what father doesn't get buried next to his son if they, God forbid, they died in the same time frame, so to say. Like, if you have a son and he died, and then unfortunately you pass. Me personally, if I had those messed up events happen, I would want to be buried next to my kid. I would want my kid to be buried next to me. But due to the fact that he was such an asshole, he was like, in people's eyes, he was a piece of shit. He wasn't the dad people wanted that. My mom didn't feel like it was right. And I understood. At the time, I didn't want him buried next to my brother either. It's just, I still felt bad for it, And when they were putting his body underground, I remember being like, man, at least he ain't stressing no more. At least he not feeling like less of a man. He ain't gotta be out here in these streets going crazy, losing his mind, struggling and doing all these bad things. At least all that evil can be put to rest and hopefully cleanse his soul and forgiven wherever he's at. But yeah, after all that was done, and I know this story is not as heartfelt, as deep as my brother's story, and every story ain't gonna be better than the last story, or not that these stories are better than the next or they get better. It's just, some stories are deep and it's sad, and some stories are just what they are. And this story is, my dad, in the eyes of many, he was an asshole, a piece of shit. And at one point, I used to say that. I used to be like, yeah, he was a piece of shit. But one thing I learned as I got older is the fact of that he taught me a lot without even knowing he was teaching. He taught me how to never treat a woman. Watching what he did to my mom taught me what I don't need to be doing, what I shouldn't do. And it put me in a position, in a state of mind to know how I should treat women. I should treat them how I want my mom to be treated. Respect, like a queen, like a real woman. Put her on a pedestal, She's the sun to my world, you know what I mean? So as I got older, I was in relationships and whatever, even when we had like arguments or things got out of hand, I always kept that in mind. Like, never put your hands on a woman no matter how mad you get. Try even verbally not to disrespect a woman too much. Even if she wildin'. Even if she's like, fuck you, motherfucker, you ain't shit, piece of shit, motherfucker, little dick, nigga, motherfucker. Even if it's all that, it's just like, you're a man, right? You got to know how to turn around. Like Jesus turning the other cheek. Leave it alone. And women too, don't get me wrong. You need to be respectful towards your man. Or just people need to be respectful towards people. But given that situation, it kind of just opened my eyes on how to be, how to act. And unfortunately, a lot of people in this time frame grow up without a dad. In my time frame, they grew up with dad was like, your dad not around? That was like a normal thing, which sucked. And it's fucked up. And I'm glad that narrative is changing strongly, and that's dope. Props and respect to all the men taking care of their household. Whether you a dad or a stepdad, whatever the case may be, or a dad taking care of your family from a distance, it don't matter. But like I always say in this podcast, it's about learning from the pain, learning through the mud, through the tragic situation. In this situation, I was learning through what he did. I didn't want to be in the streets like him. I didn't want to be fucking doing stupid shit like he did. I want to take my kids' toys and sell them for drugs. Now, I ain't going to sit here and lie to you and say I was a perfect angel. Like I wasn't in the streets time to time, but I wasn't in the streets doing harm, so to say. I wasn't in the streets, hurting my family or hurting other families. At least that's my knowledge. Like the takeaway from all this, and again, I'm a little scatterbrained when it comes to my dad due to the fact of it's not the sadness of him being gone that had me scatterbrained. It's the sadness of what he could have done if he was still here, if he would have just done it, what he could have done to still be here. That put me in that position to feel like the way I feel. So given all that, it just put me in the position to learn how to be better, learn how to be great, learn how to be who I am today. And hopefully a lot of people can learn from that. Hearing this story, you can learn from, if you have a person in your life that hurt you, or a person in your life that you didn't agree with, or put you in a position to be like, that person right there is a piece of shit. At least try to learn from this piece of shit. At least try to take away what made this person a piece of shit and why you think they was like that. What made this person be like that? And I'm not saying because you figure it out or because you sympathize with them, you're going to forgive them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about taking a negative and turning it into a positive for yourself, moving forward and learning that and accepting that in another person's era, it can help. In another person's present era, it can create a more positive and focused future for yourself. If we just took time and look at the situation from that perspective versus just, oh, fuck this dude, fuck this dude, fuck this dude. So hopefully that helps in some kind of way for a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people that's lost their dad see it a lot different. And I hope that your dad lived for a long time. And I hope that if you did lose your dad, that you got closure and you're somewhere better in your mind. But for those that are in the same situation like me, where you didn't really know him, or if you did know him and you knew he wasn't the greatest person in the world, Try to take away the good that he left you as far as what he taught you not to be like. The things he put in the earth, in the air, in the universe that showed you how to be better. And you might have not been aware of at the time. You know, even if it's been years, look back now and go, subconsciously I learned these things. You know, he did things like this and I chose to do them like that because it's different from what he did. You know, I didn't want to follow in his path. I mean, it was even to the point where I never ever touched alcohol until I was 30 years old. Like now, I drink alcohol, okay? But my reason for not touching alcohol until I was 30 years old, I didn't even know what a beer tastes like. And my reason for that was my dad was an alcoholic, and he was a violent alcoholic. He was fucking nuts when he drank. So I always had this fear that, what if when I drink, I get crazy? I fucking start wailing off on some woman or somebody or for no reason hurt myself. And I was always afraid of it. And I remember being at a party, make a long story short, some friends telling me like, drink. And I wanted to drink. I wanted to taste and see what it's about. I wanted to, and I was always afraid of that. And they told me the best advice. They said, don't worry about it, man. Drink. We're going to chill. And if you get fucked up, you get fucked up. You're cool. You fall asleep or you just tipsy. That's cool. And if you happen to be like your dad and you start getting all violent and wilding, we're just going to fuck you up. And that'll be your lesson to not drink no more. And the crazy part was I agreed with it. I was like, whoa, that's a good idea. Yeah. If I start tripping or getting too drunk and I start trying to be violent, just knock my ass out, you know? Luckily, that wasn't the outcome. The outcome was I just get sleepy when I drink. Or I just get nice, whatever. And depending on how the liquor is, if it's good liquor, I just get nice. If it's cheap liquor, I just catch headaches. So don't drink cheap liquor. But yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed that story. Or not enjoyed, but I hope, y'all took something away from it. At the fact of you could learn from the evil in other people. You could learn how to be a better person by other people's mistakes. You can learn how to be a better person by the evil in people. Try your best to help the person that has all this evil in their heart, all this poison in their heart. And if you can't, it's out of your reach or it's too late, at least try to somewhat respect their memory by taking their memory, even though it was a negative one, but taking their memory and implementing those negative impacts, those poisonous situations, poisonous mindset of that person, and implementing it into a positive for yourself and those around you. If this person was violent, don't be violent like them. Be smart. If this person was a person that beat on their wife or beat on their kids or was just a violent person, they take that and learn that this is not the way. That's not how we should do it. Take all the pain that they showed you and convert it into love and show yourself and show people how to be. You get what I'm saying. Take that negative and turn it into a positive. And again, thank you for listening. It's really late. Again, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning now. So I apologize if this story was a little scattered or if I seemed off. I really want to do this podcast today and knock it out, feel good about it, get it going. And, I don't want to get lazy with it. Oh, not that I was going to get lazy. I don't want to fall behind. I was busy. I could have easily done this the next day, but I still committed to my goal to doing it today. But again, I'm Raziel Liz. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you took something out of this, especially taking the negative and turning it into a positive. And as far as those that we mourn, if you lost somebody that wasn't the greatest person, they could have been potentially an asshole or a piece of shit. Learn to mourn them by taking what made them that asshole or a piece of shit and using it as lessons for yourself and moving forward and spreading joy and spreading love and, thanking that person for allowing you to see evil as purest form and turning it into a positive in your life. Like to this day, I have a loving family, great people around me, and that's half of it is a big chunk of it is due to how I express myself to them, how I am to them, whether it's friends or my loved ones or my wife or whatever the case may be. It's the energy I give to them, they're giving it back to me, creating a beautiful circle, of great people, interacting with each other. So try to take as much info from that as you can. And again, if you have any questions, my handle is at Raziel_Liz. RAXIEL_LIZ. DM me, hit me up, email me, DM, contact me, reach out, just post a comment, whatever questions you may have, any feedback, and any topic you want me to touch on. I definitely want to reach out, touch base, and just let me know you heard the podcast. Let me know what you think about it. I appreciate all the love, all the opportunities. So let's do it. Thank you for listening. You guys are awesome.